So today I really want to talk about why people struggle to heal. I don't think there's a person who wouldn't be somewhat fascinated by this conversation because chronic health issues are sort of, they're definitely very common. They're not normal, but it's common in our society for people to be struggling with, whether it be, chronic joint issues, anxiety, depression, digestive stuff, hormone stuff, autoimmune. The list is long. And I certainly spent the better part of a decade with a very long list of symptoms myself. And it is my greatest passion to help people figure out the path out. Again, once we remove the barriers to healing, the body has the potential to heal itself. I truly believe that. So whatever you're here, whatever you're dealing with, whatever you came to learn more about, I want you to know that your body has the ability to heal. And so often, once we figure out why our body isn't healing, which we're going to dive into, stress is really the number one cause, but there's so many different forms, so many different sources of stress that we'll dive in today. But once we figure out what those things are and remove them, it's amazing what the body can do. So, if you're, when I look back on my healing journey, when everything shifted for me was when I really took an active role in my healing. I think there's only two ways to approach our healing. And one is as a victim, where these symptoms are happening to you. There's sort of this like underlying feeling like, my body, what is wrong with it? It's fighting against me. So there's only two ways to approach our healing. And one is as a victim and the other is as a victor. These things are happening for me. Symptoms are always warning signs that something is off. Symptoms are our body's way of communicating with us. And I think, our society today, we get a symptom and the first thing we think of is like, how can I just make this go away? Whether it's taking a medication, whether it's doing some type of protocol, it's just how fast can I make this go away? But so many symptoms are there to alert us to deeper work and deeper healing that needs to occur. And so when we start to see them that way, we start to move into, now we're working with our body rather than feeling like it's rebelling against us and we're just sort of fighting against it, frustrated with it. It's pushing back, we're pushing back on it. So I just invite you to, rather than, just begging for your symptoms to go away, start to see what your symptoms might be telling you. I know for me at the time in my life when I was struggling with so many different health issues, there were so many reasons that my body was just like tapping on my shoulder, trying to get my attention that, hey, the rate that you're going, what you're doing, the mental and emotional state that you're like, this is not working. And so when I look back, those symptoms really were a true gift because they do invite us into deeper healing and just a much more happy, fulfilling life. Really, people just want to feel better. They want to lose a little bit of weight, but they want to get rid of these annoying chronic health issues that are really taking a toll on the quality of their life. So one of the main barriers to our healing is the fact that we all come here wanting to heal, right? We want so badly for these symptoms to go away and to be thriving. Wanting happens in our conscious brain, which makes up 5% of our total brain. It is our subconscious mind, which is responsible for 95% of our mind and who we are. It's the subconscious that is driving the program. That is the cause of our effect. And so what happens is we try to change our diet, or we try some new healing protocol, or we set out to exercise a little bit more with this desire, with this wanting to heal. And we fail. How do we this year set out on this journey and make it happen for ourselves and truly achieve a level of health and healing that we never have? We have to look at the subconscious. Our subconscious mind is causing our behavior. Our thoughts lead to how we feel, right? The feelings and emotions we experience, and those feelings and emotions lead to our behavior. So if we never become aware of the subconscious mind and what's, causing our effect, then how can we change it? We can sit here and we can want and we can try and we can just muscle through and we can really muster up a lot of grit and discipline and try to heal. But we really have to look at the program that's causing it. One of my favorite quotes is, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. That quote gives me the chills because so many people are trying so hard to heal, but what they don't understand is that their unconscious mind, the stuff they're not even aware of, is sabotaging, completely sabotaging their ability to heal. So what is buried in the subconscious mind? Our beliefs about ourselves, the world around us, what we're capable of, whether or not we think we can heal, all of that is buried in the subconscious mind. So we're not even aware of the program that could be making us sick, that could be leading to these chronic health issues that we're dealing with. So once again, the only way to heal and to get a different outcome is to uncover and to become aware of what we're not aware of. So, having more self-awareness, thinking about what you're thinking about. I use a lot of journaling techniques to help people uncover these things that have been buried down below for a long time. Because if we're not aware enough to observe those beliefs, to observe the cause of our effect, we'll never get a different result and we will continue to struggle. And so, again, so many people come into 2023 and they have such good intentions to lose weight and I'm going to eat healthier and I'm going to get to the gym and all these things, but they never address, they never look at the program. That's the unconscious mind. Okay, so that is what is causing our effect. So until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So if you've been banging your head against a wall and just wondering why, oh, I don't have enough discipline, I don't have enough willpower, I'm always setting out to make these incredible changes for myself, but I never get anywhere. You're just like everybody else. There's nothing wrong with you, but we do have to look a little bit deeper and we have to make what is unconscious to us, our beliefs. Most of our limiting beliefs are in our unconscious. Your life is a reflection of your beliefs. So again, when we tap into that operating system and we tweak it, we can finally get a different result. Another really common barrier to healing, I want to talk a little bit about the physical barriers. Toxicity is a huge one. So many of us get to our, 40s, 50s, 60s, and we feel fatigued. We don't even know because it's such a slow decline, but we feel like we're just kind of dragging. We don't have a lot of energy. We feel like our metabolism is slow. We might be struggling to sleep. We might have a hard time losing weight when we do set out to eat differently or start a new exercise program. And there's sort of this whole conditioning that as we get older, our metabolism slows down as we age. And really what happens is the body accumulates a pretty good toxic load. Well after our 20s, 30s, by 40s, 50s, and 60s, we've really accumulated a fair amount of toxins. And all those are in the liver, right? The liver is what filters those toxins. And so the liver regulates the metabolism. And so when we're in our 40s, 50s, 60s, we start to say, gosh, I can't eat anything without gaining weight. No matter what I do, my metabolism doesn't respond. Why is that happening? And one of the number one reasons is because the liver is no longer doing its job. It's like the grand central station. And if it's not working well, it regulates every single metabolic process in the body. And so we really have to look at how well is the liver working? That's where we make a lot of our hormones. And I can tell you, working with thousands of people over the years, most people's livers are really struggling. And I know this because when they do a liver detox and when they start to support their detox pathways and really take care of their liver, their health just starts to transform. They start to feel so much better. So toxicity is really one of the main causes of disease and also barriers to healing. So if that's not something you've looked at, if you've been eating healthy and exercising and doing all these things, but you haven't really looked at what has my liver accumulated over the years and what am I doing to support those detox pathways, it's definitely something to consider. I want to talk a little bit about metabolic syndrome since we're talking about the metabolism in the liver. Less than 12% of the US population has a healthy metabolism, meaning they don't fall under the category of metabolic syndrome or metabolic disease. That is devastating. That means that, 1 in 8 of us are walking around with basically, a working metabolism. So once again, why does the metabolism, quote unquote, break? Stress in so many different shapes and forms. Major rises and falls in blood sugar over time is going to create insulin resistance, and that leads to metabolic syndrome. When we have a metabolism that is no longer working, it's similar to the liver in that it is controlling, everything down to the cellular function of our body. And so we're going to have low energy. We're not going to be able to lose weight. We're not going to be sleeping well. When we have metabolic syndrome, we are so much more prone to sickness and disease. I think another thing that is really, really common and something that's overlooked is so many people are either, over consuming, which is going to lead to insulin issues, or they're under consuming. Especially women that I work with have spent a lifetime restricting calories. So there's this history of chronic caloric restriction, and they can't figure out why when they maybe eat a little bit more over a weekend or on a vacation, they gain weight so quickly. That's because their metabolism has become very rigid. It's not able to switch from different fuel sources, and it's not able to tap into fat for a reserve. So that's what happens when we end up with a dysfunctional and a broken metabolism, is that it can't switch fuel sources. It becomes very rigid, and we become hungry more often, which leads to further dysregulation and further dysfunction. So we really have to learn how to create more flexibility in the metabolism. So many people come to me and they'll say, my metabolism it's just so slow. How do I speed it up? And you don't want a fast metabolism. What you want is a flexible one that easily can switch between fuel sources, so that when you're not eating, say between breakfast and lunch or dinner, your body's able to tap into fat for fuel. Another thing that contributes, and something I see so often, is so many people are eating 3 to 4 meals a day, and they're snacking in between. Or maybe they've been told that if they eat 5 to 6 meals a day, maybe they've been told the pro-metabolic way of eating is beneficial to them. And so they're eating constantly throughout the day. When we're constantly giving our body some form of fuel, it's going to burn that instant fuel source. It's going to burn what we're eating. It never has the chance to tap into the reserve, which is fat. So when we're constantly, getting this fuel source, again, it causes this rigidity where the body expects that constant fuel, and the metabolism is not flexible. It can't switch to fat for a fuel source. When we allow our metabolism to switch to fat for a fuel source, whether we throw in a little bit of intermittent fasting, or we're just timing our meals 3 to 4 hours apart, which actually allows the body to tap into reserve, we don't get, the ketones released. Ketones and some of the processes that happens when our body taps into fat as a reserve is really some of the most disease preventing processes that can happen. Ketones are extremely anti-inflammatory, they're anti-cancer. And so a lot of people, again, trying to lose weight, what they're doing is making their metabolism more rigid. And the more rigid it becomes, the less you can eat. And then when you do eat, you're going to gain weight. And then it's not just about weight loss. It's about the fact that your metabolism on a cellular function is no longer working properly. And this is where we become a lot more prone to sickness and disease, which is really sad because, again, only 12% of the US population doesn't fall into this metabolic syndrome category, which is just devastating. So yeah, metabolic rigidity is definitely something that is a massive barrier to our healing. A lot of people say, well, I eat pretty well and I exercise, and so I shouldn't have a metabolic issue. Stress is one of the #1 causes. When our stress hormones like cortisol go up, they pull sugar from the cells, which is where it's supposed to be for fuel, into the bloodstream. And when sugar floods into the bloodstream, we get high blood sugar. And that's another way in which we become really metabolically rigid and dysfunctional. So it's not just diet. It's not just, incorporating some fasting and that kind of stuff. It's really watching those, those chronic stress, those huge rushes of adrenaline that a lot of us are getting on a regular basis. So another barrier is nervous system dysregulation. This is probably one of the most common. I know for me, when I started to kind of set out on this healing journey, I was, eating just right. I was doing everything just right, working with some of the top practitioners in the world. But what happens with the nervous system when we're in this constant, constantly trying to do everything right and eliminate inflammatory foods, and our whole day looks like some crazy healing regimen with all of these check marks of things that we have to do. We have to wake up and breathe, and then I have to sauna, and then I have to eat healthy, but I can't eat all these foods. And the message that we're sending ourselves is a very powerful message of danger. I'm not okay where I am. I'm not safe. I'm not good. And I can't be happy until I heal, until I get over here. And one of the things that has really resonated with me, and something that I passed along to a lot of people, and seen this just completely shift and change their entire approach to healing, is that healing is more about who you are being than it is what you are doing. We see so many people today, and I lived it for the better part of a decade, doing everything right. I mean, truly, like my whole day was a healing regimen of some sort, doing everything right, all the gut healing protocols, hormone balancing, all the things, and not getting better. Why? Because when who we are being is somebody that is unwell, and everything we do in our day is more confirmation, is another message being sent to the nervous system that, hey, there's a problem here. The harder we try to heal, and the more we do in the day to try to do all the things just right, the stronger the danger signal being sent to the nervous system. So if who you're being is more important than what you're doing, what makes up, sort of who we're being? Basically, who we're being is a combination of our thoughts and our feelings. This will shift everything for you. I can't even tell you what it did for me and what it's done for now hundreds and hundreds of my clients. Is once we start to realize that, wow, who I am being is somebody that is unwell, frustrated with my body, constantly looking for answers, constantly in the search for the latest and greatest thing, constantly trying new things, restricted with food, feeling like I have to live in a bubble in order to heal because there's so many toxins out there and I have to filter this and filter. If who we're being is somebody that is unwell, that is exactly what our body is going to reflect. Our body does not reflect what we want, which is healing, wholeness, happiness. Our body reflects who we are being, and it doesn't lie. So when I work with people and they're struggling with chronic health issues, they come to me and they've worked with every practitioner, and they've done everything they can. They've tried every vegan, paleo, they've done all of the things. When we start to examine the thoughts that they're having, the energy that they're in, remember, everything on the planet is made up of energy. So when we're in the energy of like, almost like frantic, like I can't be happy until I find this solution and I'm broken. And when we're in the energy of that, the only thing that we're going to create is more of the same. There is no other way. It's the law of it's just how the universe works. And so if you're here and you've tried every diet, you've worked with a lot of practitioners, I want you to really take a second to think about, what are the thoughts that I'm having most of the day? What is the energy I find myself in? Like, am I in, gratitude and love and joy and peace? Because that is what heals the body. Our thoughts can make us sick, and our thoughts can make us well. And most nervous system dysregulation is coming from that. Who we're being. What are the messages that you're sending to your nervous system all day long? So if we want to heal, this is where it gets a little bit tricky, but the potential is so powerful. We have to start being somebody who's well. We have to start having more empowering thoughts. We have to start spending more time feeling whole, happy, grateful. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking, how can I really embody those emotions when I'm hurting so much, when I'm struggling so much, and I have all these chronic health issues, and you want me to just put a smile on my face? That's not what I'm asking. Spiritual bypassing is a real thing, and it's something that a lot of people are doing, trying to heal, going, well, I'm told that if I'm just happy and I'm grateful that my body is reflecting who I'm being, and so I'm just going to be somebody that's so healthy and happy, and I'm going to put a smile on my face. There's one step in this that we cannot skip, and it is the step that will allow you to naturally, authentically go from I'm frustrated, I'm overwhelmed, I'm hopeless, to a more elevated state. If we do not get there authentically, remember, the body's not reflecting what you want, who you want to be. It's reflecting exactly who you are being. So if who you're being is someone that's frustrated, yet you're putting on a happy face, you're making yourself more sick. It's not going to work. So what do we do to naturally move ourselves into more of the state where we can actually authentically embody these positive emotions? We have to learn to process the crap that is there, the stuff that we are pushing down, trying to be happy. When we learn how to process our emotions, we pull what was in the unconscious mind. Remember, this is the stuff that's making us sick. The unconscious mind is responsible for 95% of our total stress load. So when I work with people and I say, are you stressed out? And they say, yes, very overwhelmed with life. We just had a pandemic. I've got all these things, you know, my family's struggling. Our conscious stress is 5% of our total stress load. The stress that is impacting you way more than your conscious stress is your unconscious stress. So what we have to do in order to get your unconscious into your conscious is we have to spend time acknowledging. We have to spend time searching for and processing our emotions. When we do that and we move what was unconscious into our conscious brain, we move the body out of fight or flight. It is one of the most effective ways to move the body out of fight or flight. When we're trying to, you know, whether we use distraction or our busy lives, or sometimes even our healing regimens are a distraction from the deeper pain that is underneath, the pain that we may have spent a lifetime trying to avoid. And we do it in so many different ways. Some of us shop, some of us exercise, some of us eat sugar, some of us get on Instagram and scroll. Some of us just stay really busy and just in this constant state of busyness and overwhelm to avoid the deeper stuff here. But when we slow down long enough and we turn toward this and we pull it up into the open, out into the open, now the unconscious is now conscious, then our total stress load just went way down. The body just moved into a parasympathetic rest, digest, and repair state, the only state that the body can heal itself in. We have to learn how to do that. We have to make the unconscious conscious, and we have to process our emotions. That for me was the tool that finally allowed my body to heal. Yes, I was breathing and I was doing all of the other things, taking care of my physical body. We have a mind and a body. We have to take care of both. But I can tell you that was my main barrier, and it's also the barrier of hundreds, now thousands of people that I've worked with. It is one of the most common causes of nervous system dysregulation. If your nervous system is not working well, if you have a whole reservoir of repressed emotions that you've been running from your whole life, and I can tell you that's most of you, your nervous system is going to be stuck and dysregulated. There's just no other way. It's just how the body works. It's science. So again, when you start to turn toward and you sit with that pain, that trauma, and you start to process that, the nervous system heals. The nervous system regulates every system in the body. So many people say, well, you know, I have long COVID or I've got autoimmune, you know, these issues that stem from a compromised immune system. Why? Why doesn't the body heal? Why doesn't it recover from a cold? Why doesn't it recover from some of these things? Because the nervous system is so taxed, it's no longer doing its job. Now the nervous system, you know, now the, the immune system and the digestive system and the endocrine, the hormone system, all of these systems have gone awry because the nervous system is not working well. So when we focus on healing the nervous system and regulating the nervous system, every other system comes back online. And all of a sudden the immune system shows up and we start digesting. In my experience, the majority of chronic health issues that people are dealing with today are mind-body, meaning they have a very strong nervous system component. The way they're thinking, the way they're feeling, the emotions they're experiencing, the message they're sending to their body on a regular basis is causing nervous system dysregulation, which is keeping them from healing. Okay, let's jump into, I could talk about the nervous system forever because it's such an important component of healing. We're going to jump a little bit into breathing patterns. That's another barrier. Again, so many people are doing all of the things, but when they're breathing, the way that they're breathing, a lot of people are breathing through the mouth. They're also breathing more rapid and high into the chest. They're not activating their diaphragm. If the diaphragm doesn't move when we're breathing, which most people's doesn't, it's fixed. You're not going to stimulate the vagus nerve, which moves, that's the parasympathetic nervous system that moves the body into rest and repair. If you're not breathing through your nose, same thing, you're not stimulating that vagus nerve, moving the body into rest and digest. When we breathe through our mouth, we move our nervous system into a sympathetic fight or flight state. When we breathe through the nose, we move our body into a parasympathetic rest and recover state. So the average person is breathing anywhere from 12 to 25 times in a minute, and that's a lot. We're over breathing, and what happens when we over breathe is that we get rid of too much CO2, and CO2 is what carries oxygen into the cells. And so many of us are hyperventilating. We're over breathing, and we're not getting enough oxygen, so we breathe more as a result. A lot of us are over breathing, or we have dysfunctional breathing mechanics because at a young age we experienced a trauma that triggered fight or flight in our body, and our body is physiology, the way that we breathe responded to that trauma, and we've been breathing that way ever since. So we really have to look at how can we breathe in a way that calms our physiology, because once again, the body is communicating with the mind, and the mind is communicating with the body. Our thinking and sort of our psychology, our state of mind, is equal to what's happening in our body, our physiology. So there's sort of this bottom-up approach where if we can calm our physiology with breath and learn how to activate the vagus nerve and move the body into a parasympathetic state with every breath, again, we can help our nervous system heal. And when the nervous system comes back online, now we actually can heal. So the way that you're breathing is having a massive impact. I think it's so influential that I would even go as far as to say that every breath you're taking, the quality of the breath that you're taking is either moving your nervous system toward rest and digest or toward fight or flight. We take thousands and thousands of breaths every day. So how can we breathe in a way, regardless of what's happening to us, right? There's so much in our life that we can't control. We are bombarded with stress right now. There's a lot going on out there, but we can control the way that we respond, the way that we think about our stressors, but more than that, the way that we can come back to our breath and breathe in a way that's like, hey, there's a lot going on out there, but if I can control my breathing, I can keep my body's response to stress way down. So breathing is huge. Chronic inflammation, most of this comes from stress and diet, the combination of the two. There's a lot of people out there that are starting to eat a little bit healthier, but they feel like their healthy diet is restrictive or it's not realistic. And so they've got this nice little 80-20 rule where, Friday, the weekend rolls around and they're going to enjoy some drinks and some treats and maybe some processed food. And by no means do you have to eat whole foods all the time to heal. You really don't. You have to do it most of the time in order to get the benefits. But what happens is that with sort of America's idea of this 80-20 rule is that, Monday through Thursday, maybe Friday, if you're really good, is pretty reasonable. It's pretty good. There's very few people on the planet that don't know about nutrition, right? There's a lot of information out there. We all know what we should and shouldn't, for the most part, what we should and shouldn't be eating. So the weekend rolls around, we feel kind of deprived, been eating a lot of salads and chicken and bland. It just feels kind of restrictive and not realistic. And we just want to enjoy ourselves. The weekend rolls around and we indulge. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Well, I can tell you that if you're doing all the things to heal, but you're sort of got this 80-20 rule in your mind, and this is the way that you're navigating it, When our blood sugar goes on a crazy roller coaster from indulging, when we introduce, inflammatory foods for not just one meal, but say, 3, 4, 5 meals over the weekend, it's not going to add up. Inflammation is really the gateway to every ache and pain and disease. And so again, if you are trying to heal and you're saying that you're eating, you really have to be honest with yourself and look at, how are my weekends? So this is where we get to, okay, so I know what I should be eating, right? More vegetables, more whole foods. I've heard that, sugar's not that good for me and these processed foods aren't that good for me. Why do so many people have this information, yet they don't do it? They rely on discipline and willpower for a short period of time to motivate them to make these changes, but they just keep falling off the bandwagon. I want to circle back around to the fact that your unconscious mind is running the show. It is the cause of your behavior. So if we don't get to the beliefs, the patterns of self-sabotage, and how you truly feel about yourself, we'll never be able to uncover why you cannot take care of yourself long-term. Why it's a quick fix, or once I lose this weight, then I'll be happy. Why can't we make it a lifestyle? Again, that's typically buried in the unconscious mind. Somewhere deep down, there's a belief that you don't deserve it. A lot of patterns of self-sabotage. A lot of us are addicted to shame, these feelings of, oh, I'm such a loser. I tried so hard to do this and I fell off again and I indulged and I ate way too much and I drank way too much. Oh, I'm such an idiot. I can tell you that those very corrosive emotions like shame and I'm a failure and I'm not good enough and I'm not strong enough and smart enough and pretty enough, and the list goes on and on and on. Those are highly addictive. And if you've been wiring and firing those thoughts and feelings and that truth, which isn't a truth, but it might be for you, if you've been wiring that for so long, you're going to run into these patterns of self-sabotage. You're going to find yourself constantly back here. Oh, I tried so hard and I thought this diet was it, or this personal trainer, or whatever it is, like this was finally going to be it. But we really have to look at what's underneath that. I can tell you that the majority of the people that I work with, myself included for a very long time, are motivated by fear. I don't want to be fat. I don't want to be sick. I don't want to be this way or that way. We're motivated by fear. That's going to help you in the short run. That's going to destroy you in the long run. We're also motivated by self-rejection. I have so much shame if I look that way, if I am that way, if I'm not well. We have so much shame. And so what happens when we're motivated by I don't like myself or fear of being a certain way, once again, the message you're sending yourself is I'm not okay as I am. That is a powerful danger signal being sent to the nervous system, sabotaging all of your efforts. Because what happens when we're sending that danger signal to the nervous system, its number one job is to survive, not thrive. It doesn't care about your amazing health, your goals and your weight loss goals and the fact that you want to feel good in your body and be happy. Its number one job is to survive. So we really have to look at what is the energy of your intention. Is it I don't like myself and I will maybe when I lose the weight or achieve this health goal or whatever it is? Because remember, the body's not reflecting that goal, who you want to be. It's reflecting who you're being. And is who you're being somebody that's frustrated with their body, carries a lot of shame, and you're just in the energy of like, I could just lose this weight? Our body's reflecting who we're being. So once again, this was something that was so eye-opening to me, because once we realize that, it just takes out the guesswork. Now we're able to look at our symptoms, understand why they're not gone, and actually get to the root of why. All the things that we're talking about here. It's so empowering because I can tell you the body doesn't make mistakes. Your body makes sense. You just have to get to the bottom of what's going on. Okay. Another thing I just want to touch on is exercise. So many people are either over exercising because they have some crazy unrealistic goal. You know, they want their body to look a certain way, so they're overly stressing their body, or they're struggling to even make it to the gym and move their body enough. Finding that sweet spot where you're working with your body and your hormones, not against them, helps so much. I work with so many motivated women that are trying so hard to lose weight or get healthier. But once again, what they're doing in the gym is overly stressing their body. Again, when the body is overly stressed, healing is very difficult. Why do we exercise 6-7 days a week and beat ourselves up in the gym? Most of the energy of that intention and the why behind, why we're doing this comes from a place of wanting our bodies to look a certain way. You don't have to love the way that your body looks, right? If you want to lose weight, it's okay to not be happy with the way that your body looks. But the difference is are you going to encourage yourself until you meet that weight loss goal, until you meet that health goal? Or are you going to beat yourself up and be in resistance the whole time? That's the difference. Are you going to be your greatest cheerleader or your greatest critic? Really have to look at that with exercise and why we're going to the gym, why we're pushing it so hard. And is it healthy? What's the motivation behind it? Is it another form of escape? I see that very often with women. I just love the way running makes me feel. When deep down underneath all of that is a couple things. I don't like my body. I want to shrink it, and I can't deal with the painful emotions in my life. So I'm going to just go and just run away from them. That's not how we heal. That's how we stay in the cycle. That's how we stay sick. I just want you to know that your body has an ability to heal. It is absolutely amazing what the body is capable of. We just have to get out of our own way. And so much of it, again, what makes New You so different is that we have to look at the unconscious mind. We have to reestablish a new program here because it is the cause of our effect. It is what drives our behaviors. And once we start to observe that program, I just remember feeling so empowered. It was like, well, no wonder I put so much pressure on myself and think of my dialogue. It's really, critical, and I'm pushing myself and try harder, and just all of these things that are buried underneath that just make you you. And their truth, or according to this quote, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will completely direct your life, and you will call it fate. It is causing the effect in our life. And once we get a nice little look at it, it's just so exciting because you finally realize why you're not healing. And now you have the path out. So no matter what you're dealing with, there is a path out. In New You, I spend, like I said, every week anywhere from 1 to 3.5 hours is my longest live, hanging out with you guys and really supporting you and trying to help you identify what's in the way of your healing. Yes, you have all the contents of your program, but you have access to me for further guidance. And I am very invested in your healing. It is why I am here on this planet. It's why I struggled for so long. I have so much empathy and compassion, and now just passion to help you figure out why you're not healing. There is a reason. You make sense. I promise you, your body makes sense. It doesn't make mistakes. We just have to figure out what's going on. Again, if any of this resonated with you and you want to work on your health, you want to address all of the barriers to healing that we discussed, come join us. It's going to be 30 days of life-changing information. It never gets old taking people through this process and watching people heal from, I think you guys have probably read a lot of my testimonials. I mean, everything from migraines to autoimmune to hormone issues to PMS to digestive issues to SIBO to bacteria, candida issues, Chronic pain is a huge one. Over 95% of chronic pain, chronic joint issues are caused by nervous system dysregulation. If you are out there with joint pain that has lasted longer than 3 months, you're now in that chronic category. Your pain is neuroplastic, meaning your brain has learned the pain. In order to unlearn the pain, you're going to have to heal your nervous system. So if you have chronic joint issues, chronic joint pain, or chronic health issues, it's time to heal that nervous system so that your body can heal. It knows what to do. We just have to heal the nervous system, move the body out of fight or flight, prioritize rest and recovery. Stop trying to be superhumans all the time. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you all so much for being here. I hope to see you guys in New You, and we'll be in touch. Take care.